Hello and welcome to the Radio Scilly video news. Sign up to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Radio Scilly.
The Scilly Lottery. TheScillyLottery.com.
After a week in a canoe kayaking from Saltash in Cornwall to Penzance, the woman who's going to take up the reins as our island's first full-time veterinary nurse says she's delighted to have achieved over her fundraising target for her mission. Sarah Roberts will take up her non-paid position on the islands at the end of July, and she says £525 has been brought in so far. The vet support group will get half the cash, the rest will go to the British Divers Marine Life Rescue Organisation. Sarah says it's important to help them because they do a lot of work in Scilly.
Well, I think it's one of those things that is very important to us here, but not many other people really know about it. So it's generated some publicity over on the mainland for it as well. And also because I think people don't realise how much the animals go without on the islands here and how much the vet support group can provide for them. So it's giving them a better quality of life over here, so they don't have to get flown to the mainland for surgeries and things like that. We can treat a lot more things here when we've got the correct equipment.
Sarah says the cash raised for the vet support group here on the islands will make a difference, and she's looking forward to the new surgery opening because the vet group's already provided much equipment, but space at the moment is at a premium, and that causes a problem.
We've got quite a lot here, it's just not having the space to really use it. We've got an ECG machine, which a lot of practices on the mainland wouldn't have an ECG machine, but it takes up so much space that we can't have it out all the time, so it's really kind of comes out when we desperately need it. Again, we've got an X-ray machine and a processor, but due to space it's down the road rather than in the vet practice, which makes things a lot more complicated when you're trying to take X-rays. We do have a lot of facilities here. You know, we can put up drips, we can do emergency surgery, we've got all the drugs that we need. It's just a matter of space, in that if you've got one inpatient, that's it. The kennels are full, done, dusted. We can't have anyone else in unless we drastically reshuffle everything around.
As for the kayaking mission, Sarah says the first day of the challenge proved one of the most difficult for her.
The toughest day, I have to admit, was the first one.
Yeah.
Towards the end, when we came into Whitsand Bay, and we'd had a fantastic run down the Tamar, brilliant out round terrain head, and the wind just started to pick up a bit and the swell just started to pick up a bit, and Whitsand Bay just absolutely blasted us, and we got, I'd say, 3/4 of the way down. We got there and it was, that was really tough, and then kind of after that everything seemed a bit easier.
Councillors have met to discuss in closed session their options in relation to dealing with the situation surrounding the Chief Officer's pay award. The controversial decision to grant senior town hall staff a 12% rise with a discretionary additional 6% market factor supplement has been subject to complaint by a number of island residents, and over 200 people have signed petitions organised by Islander Mike Brown. Council Chair Julia Day says the pay award is less than the amount the chief officers would have been entitled to if they'd taken up an agreed settlement in the 2000s. No council staff or officers were present in the session, which was attended by a legal advisor. Not all members could stay for the duration of the session, which we understand ran to 4.5 hours. It seems the national media are overlooking Scilly once again. There have been press reports this week about Britain's first desalination plant opening in East London. But most islanders will know we've had a similar facility since 1992. The council's Neville Gardner tells Radio Scilly News he's emailed some of the media organisations on the mainland to tell them that we've had a desalination plant in operation in Scilly for some time. An island's beach has been voted the second best in Britain in the Great British Beach Awards sponsored by chocolate maker Cadbury. The winner was Scilly Beach in South Wales, getting 47% of the votes, but Tresco as a whole polled a respectable runner-up position with 19%. The major seaside resorts of Blackpool and Margate gained 10%. In total, Tresco gained around 1,400 votes in the nationally promoted poll. The Community Minister, Eric Pickles, has abolished a tightly regulated framework that limits the number of affordable homes that can be created in Scilly to 5 a year. The Secretary of State has written to our council's Chief Planning Officer, Craig Dryden, to inform him that the regional spatial strategy is being axed. And whilst planning organisations on the mainland are complaining that the commitment to build affordable homes has been lost up country, here some councillors believe it's good news. We had a strict limit saying only 5 new dwellings could be built a year on the islands. That didn't mean 5 brand new homes would go up. A dwelling includes a conversion or change of use of an existing building. So if you had a house and you made it into 2 flats, that would create 2 dwellings. The new government's idea is that planning decisions will be made locally. Craig Dryden says they're awaiting more information on what it could mean for the islands. The Wildlife Trust in Scilly is continuing its work to catalogue the fish seen regularly in the waters around the islands and list the varieties that seem to be depleted in number. The work's being carried out as part of the Isles of Scilly Wildlife Trust's Marine Biodiversity Project. Last year, Doug Hurdson interviewed fishermen and divers around the islands, and from the discussions he's produced an identification picture guide with 75 types of fish seen around Scilly to help people identify what they've seen. Doug says the data could decide what types of fish need protecting here.
But this work is based at looking at how all the fish, the common things and the rarer ones, how they all work together with their environment and the lovely environments you've got in the Scillies. I want to find out where plaice are now. Before the quay was extended, there used to be a lot of plaice in the harbour bay at St Mary's, but hardly find any now. But what you do see there is shoals of sand smelt coming up, darting around, and probably be some grey mullet also grazing on the weed growing on the quay itself. One big fish surprise of the area is that you don't get bass. The sea bass, which is quite a common fish around most of the southwest of Britain and very much prized by anglers, just doesn't occur. Everyone was asking me why. We don't know, but I've got a few guesses. But also, there's a rich wealth of fish there, a picture of what the situation in the islands is at the moment, so that as things change, we can see how they're changing and perhaps why, and maybe correct or put in new management measures to get things improving.
Islanders have got behind the World Cup 2010. Radio Scilly's entered into the spirit with a change to our famous Bishop Rock Lighthouse logo, designed by the late Pete the Hat, just for the tournament. You'll know about the 477 flags inside the Bishop and Wolf. Outside, lots of Islanders have put flags on display as well to show their support for England. In the gardens at Normandy, the St George's flags have been put up. Steve Aston has decorated his decorating van. And Julian Morell has added some patriotism to his car. Ben and Kirsty Kirk have put up a flagpole at Evergreen Cottage. Even the Lloyds TSB Bank in the centre of Hewtown has got in on the act.